It all began with the storm. The kind that doesn't just shake trees, it shakes lives. When Melissa called me crying, telling me her house was gone, I didn't even think twice. "You'll stay here for as long as you need," I told her. "We're family." And I meant it. That's just who I am. Eric stood beside me when I made the offer, his hand on my back, nodding like he was proud of me, like we were doing something good. At first, it felt right. She was quiet, grateful. She'd wash the dishes without being asked, bring home flowers from the market, even fold our laundry. I was glad I could help. Honestly, it felt good to be needed like that, to be the sister with the open arms. Eric even said it reminded him of the early days of our marriage, the warmth, the energy in the house. It felt alive again. But then, little things started to tug at me. Melissa's laugh, for one. It was louder when Eric was the one making the joke. Softer with me. Her eyes lit up when he walked into the room, and when I walked in, conversations stopped. And that look they shared when they thought I wasn't paying attention, it stayed with me. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But something deep inside me started to shift. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was just tired. Too many sleepless nights, too much stress from trying to make everything feel normal. But something was off. I'd walk into the kitchen and they'd stop talking. Not in a guilty way, just abrupt. Like I'd interrupted something. And Melissa, she started wearing my robe, my perfume. She even asked if she could borrow my favorite sweater one day, said it made her feel cozy. I laughed, said yes, but something about it made my stomach tighten. Eric, for his part, acted like nothing had changed. He still kissed my forehead in the mornings, still asked me how my day was, but he'd started coming home later. "Work stuff," he'd say. And oddly enough, Melissa had picked up some late shifts too. "Helping a friend," she told me. I wanted to believe them. I needed to. Because if I didn't, what was I supposed to do with the doubt growing inside me? The worst part? I started feeling crazy in my own home, like I was the outsider. Like they were the ones who belonged, and I was just hovering in the background. I'd watch them laughing together over coffee in the morning and feel like I was watching something I wasn't supposed to see. Something intimate. Too intimate. But I pushed it down. I smiled. I made dinner. I told myself I was being paranoid. I started watching her differently after that. The way she moved around the house, confident, like she owned the place. She'd lean against the kitchen counter while Eric cooked, sipping wine, smiling in that slow, lingering way. And he'd glance at her when he thought I wasn't looking. Once I caught him brushing flour off her cheek, just a small touch. Innocent, but it stayed in my mind like a splinter I couldn't pull out. I kept trying to rationalize it. I mean, she was going through a hard time. And Eric, he was just being kind. That's who he was. That's what I loved about him, right? But kindness has limits, boundaries, and whatever this was, it was beginning to cross them. I felt it in my chest, like a slow, heavy ache. I didn't want to accuse. I didn't even want to ask. Because once you ask, you can't unhear the answer. So I smiled through it. I played hostess in my own home. Set the table, refilled the wine glasses, kept the peace. But inside me, something had shifted. It wasn't just suspicion, it was instinct. A quiet, relentless whisper that wouldn't go away. And the more I tried to silence it, the louder it became. It's strange how your own home can start to feel like a stage, and you're the only one who doesn't know the script. I began noticing the tiniest details, things I never would have thought twice about before. My perfume, the one I wore on our anniversary, the one Eric used to say reminded him of Paris, suddenly had a second bottle missing. I asked Melissa casually. She smiled and said, "Oh, I just love that scent," like it was nothing. Then came the late nights. Eric started coming home after midnight, barely offering an explanation. Melissa too. Different excuses, but always on the same nights. I tried to piece it together, but it felt like chasing shadows. I'd sit on the couch, pretending to read, listening for their footsteps, the click of the front door, and every night I told myself the same thing. You're overthinking this. You're being insecure. Don't ruin everything over a feeling. But it wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was a knowing. A gut-deep throb that wouldn't let me rest. I didn't say anything to them. Not yet. But I did tell someone. A friend. Someone who knew me long enough to recognize when I wasn't okay. I told her about the late nights, the glances, the perfume. And she didn't gasp. She didn't even look surprised. She just put her hand on mine and said softly, "Just be careful." Sometimes people only show their true face when they think no one's watching. Her words stuck with me. They clung to the walls of my mind like damp air after a storm. Their true face when no one's watching. I started watching more closely, listening. I'd wake in the middle of the night and check if Eric was still in bed. Sometimes he was. Other times. The sheets were cold next to me. I'd walk down the hallway, heart pounding, only to find the living room empty, the lights dimmed. But I couldn't prove anything. And that's what made it worse. The not knowing. The silence that wrapped around every room like a secret. Melissa started dressing differently too. Tighter dresses. Lipstick for quick errands. She said it helped her feel normal again. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But the way Eric looked at her when she walked in, that wasn't sympathy. That was something else entirely. Desire, maybe. Or guilt. Or both. I stopped asking questions. I was afraid of the answers. Because deep down, I already knew. I tried to hold on to pieces of our life. I planned a special dinner, just the three of us. Something to break the tension, to bring back the comfort of shared laughter, warm food, a table that once felt like home. I thought maybe, just maybe, it would help things fall back into place. But instead, that night, everything shattered. That night, I was halfway to the store when I realized I'd forgotten my purse. I'd left it right there, on the kitchen counter next to the folded grocery list. It was such a small thing, just a forgotten item. But looking back, I wonder if it wasn't something deeper, something in me that wanted to go back, that needed to see what my mind had been trying to protect me from. The sky was already dark when I pulled back into the driveway. The house looked peaceful from the outside, lights glowing warmly behind the curtains. But the moment I stepped out of the car, I felt it, that tension in the air. A stillness that wasn't quiet, but waiting. I opened the front door gently. No one called out. No footsteps rushed to greet me. Only silence. And something else. A soft sound from upstairs. Laughter? No. A low moan, almost muffled. Then footsteps. Then more laughter. I didn't call their names. I didn't make a sound. I moved through the hallway slowly, like I was stepping into a dream I couldn't wake up from. My heart pounded. My hands shook. And then, at the top of the stairs, I heard her voice. His voice. And I knew. Before I even saw it. I knew. I climbed those stairs like I was outside my own body. Every step felt heavy, like the house itself was trying to hold me back. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to be wrong. But their voices got louder, playful, breathless, unmistakably intimate. Our bedroom door was slightly ajar, just enough to show me everything and still give them the illusion of privacy. I didn't knock. I didn't pause. I just pushed it open. And there they were. Melissa, on top of Eric. Her back arched, his hands on her hips, their bodies tangled in our sheets. Sheets I'd washed that morning, thinking I was building something safe. She laughed, and then froze when she saw me. So did he. It was like time slammed into a wall, their faces drained of color. She grabbed for the blanket. He didn't even move. I dropped my keys. The clatter echoed like thunder. My heart didn't race. It didn't even hurt. Not yet. There was just this cold, hollow stillness inside me, like something had been cut out clean. No one said a word. Melissa clutched the blanket to her chest like it could hide what she'd done. Eric looked at me, not with guilt, not with regret, but with that blank, stunned expression people wear when they've just been caught being exactly who they are. I stared at them, not blinking, not breathing, just watching. Watching the moment everything I thought I knew about my life shattered right in front of me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, tear the room apart, collapse to the floor, but none of that happened. Instead, I felt this eerie calm settle over me, like ice pouring through my veins, numbing everything. I didn't cry. I didn't ask why. I just stood there in the bedroom we built together, watching the man I married and the sister I trusted become strangers. And then, I spoke. My voice didn't shake. It was quiet, cold, final. You lost your home, Melissa. I gave you mine. And you paid me with this? She started to cry, of course. Crocodile tears. Eric tried to sit up, open his mouth, say something, anything. But I raised my hand. I didn't want their words. I wanted them gone. Get dressed, I told them. Get out. Both of you. And don't take a single thing that doesn't belong to you. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. The weight of my words filled the room like smoke. Melissa whimpered something, but I didn't hear it. I was already turning away, done seeing more than I'd already seen. I walked downstairs, opened the front door, and waited. They came down like ghosts, silent, broken, carrying only the shame on their backs. Eric tried to meet my eyes one last time, but I didn't give him the satisfaction. Melissa wouldn't even look at me, and when that door closed behind them, I locked it. I changed the locks within the hour. It was like sealing off a wound, one I hadn't even begun to feel yet. But I wasn't done. I opened my laptop and found the photo I'd taken. Just one. Just enough. The moment of betrayal, frozen in time. And I sent it. To every single person in our family. Attached was a short message. Just so you know why Melissa won't be coming to Thanksgiving. I thought I'd fall apart after that night. I really did. But instead, I felt something different. Not sadness, not even anger exactly. It was cleaner than that. Like clarity. Like stepping into cold air after being trapped in smoke. I stood in the middle of my now empty living room, the silence pressing in from all sides, and I whispered to myself, "You did the right thing." The responses started pouring in. Cousins, aunts, even my mother. The photo said it all. There were gasps, calls, texts filled with disbelief and fury, but none of it was directed at me. For the first time, I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to justify anything. The truth was bare, undeniable. Melissa had shown them exactly who she was, and this time, everyone saw it. What surprised me most was how calm I remained. No shaking, no sobbing, just this quiet steel inside me. I made a list. Locksmith, therapist, divorce lawyer. I poured myself a glass of wine and crossed off the first one before the sun even came up. I wasn't spiraling. I was rebuilding, and I was going to do it my way. Eric tried to reach out. Of course he did. A text first, some pathetic string of words about regret and confusion. Then came the email. Longer, full of excuses disguised as reflections. I didn't read past the second paragraph. There's something deeply satisfying about choosing not to engage. About denying someone the audience they think they still deserve. He had a chance to be honest. He chose otherwise. So I chose silence. Melissa stayed quiet. No apology, no explanation. Not even a weak attempt to justify what she did. But word got around fast. Family cut her off one by one. Not because I asked them to, but because betrayal like that leaves a stain. One of my cousins wrote, "We always knew she had a mean streak, but this is something else." I read that and felt nothing. Just confirmation of what I'd stopped pretending to unsee. And I wasn't hiding anymore. I took the locks off my social media. I let the story be known, not out of spite, but out of survival. Because women like me, we've stayed quiet for too long. We swallow our suspicions, ignore our instincts, tell ourselves to be polite. No more. If I had to bleed to make it visible, then fine. But I wasn't going to bleed quietly. The divorce papers were filed a week later. My lawyer was efficient and sharp, the kind of woman who didn't flinch at stories like mine. "You'd be surprised how often the sister's involved," she said, flipping through the paperwork. I wasn't surprised anymore. Not by anything. I'd stepped out of the fog, and once your eyes adjust, there's no going back. I changed the furniture in the bedroom, burned the sheets, donated the robe Melissa used to borrow. I repainted the guest room a shade of blue so bright it felt like summer. People kept calling it revenge, but it wasn't. This wasn't about punishing them. They'd already sentenced themselves. It was about reclaiming space, reclaiming breath, reclaiming me. And the funny thing is, the house felt bigger, not emptier, not lonelier, just mine again. I'd walk barefoot through the kitchen, pour my morning coffee, and feel something I hadn't in weeks: peace. There was no parade, no celebration, just a quiet shift in the air, a stillness I could finally trust. But even then I knew the story wasn't over yet. I started therapy on a Thursday morning. The office smelled like lavender and old books, and the woman across from me had kind eyes, the kind that don't rush your pain. I told her everything, start to finish. And when I was done, she didn't tell me to forgive. She didn't tell me to move on. She just said, "You did what most people never find the strength to do. You faced the truth." That truth became my anchor. Not the betrayal, not the heartbreak, but the fact that I survived it. Every morning I woke up a little stronger. I took back the kitchen, lit candles without reason, started playing music while I made coffee. I let myself cry sometimes. But the tears didn't undo me. They cleared space, made room for something new, something real. One night, I opened up on a women's support forum. I didn't use names. I didn't need to. I just told the story. The storm, the sister, the moment I came home and saw what couldn't be unseen. I hit post and closed my laptop, thinking nothing would come of it. But when I checked the next morning, thousands of replies. Women who saw themselves in my words. Women who had been gaslit, silenced, sidelined. And just like that, I wasn't alone anymore. The messages came in waves. Some were long, full of raw, aching truth. Stories of broken marriages, backstabbing friends, betrayals no one believed. Others were short. Just a simple thank you. But they all had one thing in common. They reminded me that pain doesn't isolate. It connects. We carry these wounds like secrets, when sometimes they're the very thing that sets us free. I began writing more, not for pity, not for praise, but for release. I started talking about how it feels to question your own instincts, to look into familiar eyes and see a stranger staring back, about the quiet humiliation of being betrayed in your own home, and about the strength it takes to stay, and the even greater strength it takes to leave. Somehow, sharing made it lighter. And while my world was rebuilding, theirs was falling apart. Word got out. Melissa was dropped from every family event. Not banned, just excluded. Nobody wanted her around. Eric's company found out about the scandal. Apparently someone forwarded the email. He lost his job within a week. I didn't gloat. I didn't have to. Karma doesn't need an audience. It just needs time. The house is different now. Warmer somehow. Lighter. I hosted a dinner last weekend. Just a few close friends, women who knew what it meant to be torn apart and still show up smiling. We lit candles, opened wine, passed dishes hand to hand like we were stitching something sacred between us. No pretense. No tiptoeing around pain. Just presence. Just joy. At one point, someone raised a toast to new beginnings, and everyone looked at me. I hadn't planned to say anything, but I stood up, glass in hand, and said, "To rebuilding what matters, starting with myself." And they clinked their glasses like it was gospel. Because it was. It is. There's power in choosing yourself, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. I don't think healing is a destination. It's a rhythm. Some days it moves like a symphony. Other days, it's silence. But every morning I wake up in this house, my house. I feel more like myself than I ever did when I was trying to hold everything together. They were the storm, but I was the roof. And I finally made space for the life I deserved to live beneath it.